Happy New Year and welcome to Kini News. If you have been waiting to hear about the status of the nationwide Recovery Movement Control Order, or the RMCO, which was slated to expire yesterday, here's an update for you.
The government has extended the Recovery Movement Control Order to March 31st. Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said extending the Recovery MCO was necessary due to the rise in COVID-19 cases, which he said was in part due to the mass screening of migrant workers, as well as community infections in the Klang Valley and other states. The Extension Gazette was published in the early hours of the new year. In a statement today, Ismail said certain activities are still not allowed in Recovery MCO areas, including those at pubs and nightclubs, except those operating as restaurants. He also said that any activities that involve large crowds where physical distancing is difficult are also barred. According to Ismail Sabri, all standard operating procedures under the RMCO will apply during the period and are subject to changes that will be announced from time to time. The government-enforced RMCO was previously scheduled to end on December 31st, 2020. This development comes as Malaysia broke several records in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic yesterday. New infections had hit a record high of 2,525 new cases in a single day, while the number of active cases broke records for the sixth consecutive day, with 23,598 cases. Previously, the government had extended the conditional MCO in several places to January 14. The rules are stricter than the Recovery MCO and apply to areas with a higher number of COVID-19 cases.
Moving on, we'll take a look at the country's latest COVID-19 situation.
The Health Ministry reported 2,068 new cases of COVID-19 as of noon today. 2 of the cases were imported. Almost 60% of all the local cases were in the Klang Valley. Selangor recorded the highest number of new infections with 776 new cases. This was followed by Kuala Lumpur with 457 cases, Sabah with 254, and Penang with 226 new cases. There were 126 patients in the intensive care unit, with 54 requiring ventilator support. 3 new deaths were also reported today, taking the death toll from COVID-19 to 474. One of the deaths was recorded in Negeri Sembilan, another in Selangor, and the third was recorded in Kuala Lumpur.
When was the last time you took the train to Singapore? For several years now, there has been no direct train from Kuala Lumpur to the island state. And as much as we believed that would change soon, we have some news about the anticipated high-speed rail project.
Singapore and Malaysia said on Friday that an agreement to build a high-speed rail link, or HSR, between the two countries will be terminated. In a joint statement, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin and Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said Malaysia and Singapore were unable to reach an agreement over proposed changes to the HSR. They said the changes proposed by Putrajaya were in view of the state of Malaysia's economy, and that both governments had conducted several discussions with regard to these changes and had not been able to reach an agreement. Therefore, the HSR agreement had lapsed on December 31st, 2020. The two leaders added that both countries would abide by their respective obligations and proceed with the necessary actions resulting from the agreement's termination. However, they made no mention concerning compensation. Muhyiddin and Lee also said that they remain committed to maintaining good bilateral ties. Separately, Singapore's Transport Ministry said Malaysia has to compensate it for costs incurred in fulfilling its obligations under the agreement. The Singapore Transport Ministry did not disclose the amount of compensation Malaysia has to pay. The KL-Singapore HSR bilateral agreement was signed in 2016, but construction was suspended in September 2018. The previous Pakatan Harapan government had estimated the project to cost up to 100 billion ringgit. Malaysia had requested for multiple extensions following the suspension, which lapsed on December 31st last year.
Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman's Muda party isn't the only political party who's been trying to get registered with the Registrar of Societies, or ROS. Former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's Pejuang party is also waiting with bated breath for their registration to get approved. And here's what they've been up to in the meantime.
Pejuang has set up an NGO to allow its members to carry out official activities, while they wait for approval of their party by the Registrar of Societies. Pejuang's pro tem president, Merkel said the NGO would be their interim vehicle until the party's registration is sorted out.
Sambil itu, ia tidak bermakna kita tidak boleh bergerak untuk berkhidmat pada rakyat. Maka kita telah menubuhkan dengan keputusan ROS sebuah NGO. Nama NGO ini Pertubuhan Gerak Khidmat Rakyat Malaysia, singkatannya Khidmat. Jadi tuan-tuan dan puan dibenarkan gunakanlah NGO ini untuk apa juga aktiviti kita mewakili parti. Dan bila parti dah lulus nanti, kita boleh ambillah apa yang semua kerja buat baik yang telah tuan-tuan dan puan lakukan itu sebagai usaha parti Pejuang Tanah Air.
Merkel added that Pejuang's lawyers have filed a judicial review against the ROS and the court has set January 7 to deliver its decision. According to Merkel, the court may force ROS into making a decision whether the registration of Pejuang is accepted or otherwise. Meanwhile, Mahathir told reporters that the party has a backup plan should ROS decline to approve the party's registration.
We have plan B, but plan B of course is a secret. I cannot tell you. But as you know, the last time when we were in Bersatu, at the last moment, the government erased the registration of Bersatu and refused to register Pakatan Harapan. But even then, we were able to overcome and win the election. So believe us, we know how to do things.
The government is reportedly closing in on the infamous meat cartel that has been making headlines lately, with a deputy minister telling us that a company is about to be charged in court soon.
A frozen meat importing company believed to be behind an illegal meat cartel will be charged in court soon. This is according to Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Deputy Minister Rosul Wahid. He said the investigation paper on the company located in Johor Bahru was almost complete, as the ministry had obtained results of a meat analysis from the chemistry department on December 28th. He added that the chemistry department had already assisted by expediting the checks as it was a matter of public concern. The Hulu Terengganu MP said the company was believed to have repackaged imported meat by imitating the logos of Malaysia's leading frozen meat distributors. The company was believed to have placed halal logos, which were uncertified by JAKIM, the Malaysian Islamic Development Department, on the repackaged meat. Rosul also advised the public not to worry, as based on information from the Department of Malaysian Quarantine and Inspection Services, the company's distribution market share in the country was less than 1%. Meanwhile, he said the ministry had proposed the use of a QR code system on imported food items, including meat, at all of the country's entry points to make things easier and more efficient for the authorities.
Later on the show, the world turns a page together by sending off 2020 and welcoming 2021 with new hopes. Witness the celebrations after the break. Welcome back. Fireworks soared into the skies of major cities around the world last night, with many deserted streets below them. A fittingly creepy send-off for a year that will not be missed. Around the world, people were saying, "Good riddance 2020, hello 2021."
Australia welcomed 2021 with subdued celebrations as fresh coronavirus restrictions and border closures at its two most populous states, New South Wales and Victoria, forced families to ditch New Year plans. Media reported traffic jams at border checkpoints stretching as long as 40 km as people rush home to avoid border restrictions that kick in from midnight. Sydney's famous fireworks went ahead above deserted streets as gatherings were banned, while its harbour sported just 20% of the vessels typically seen on New Year's Eve. Across the Tasman in New Zealand, it was a different story as Auckland became one of the first places in the world to usher in 2021. Revelers on the waterfront watched the 5-minute fireworks display from the Sky Tower with brightly coloured fireworks and laser lighting shooting into the night sky over the city's harbour. With the arrival of year 2021, residents in Wuhan, the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, expressed their wishes for the new year.
愿望大也小，世界和平，没有疫情，早日脱单，就这个。
又到来了，年轻又漂亮。
武汉呐，是今年的1月23日封城，这一天是我女儿的生日。明年的1月23，我有个愿望，请她过生日。
Taipei 101's annual fireworks show welcomed the arrival of 2021 with 16,000 fireworks witnessed by tens of thousands of viewers who gathered in celebration. Titled Embrace the World with Love, Ignite the Future with Hope, the 5-minute fireworks display was divided into 5 parts. It was a tribute to Taiwan's frontline medical workers and intended to convey a message of unity to the world.
In a rare show of emotion, Angela Merkel said in her last New Year's address to the nation as German Chancellor that 2020 was by far the most difficult year of her 15-year leadership. Yet the start of vaccinations against COVID-19 made 2021 a year of hope.
Lassen Sie mich zum Schluss noch etwas Persönliches sagen.
Let me tell you something personal in conclusion. In 9 months, a parliamentary election will take place and I won't be running again. Today is therefore in all likelihood the last time I am able to deliver a New Year's address to you. I think I am not exaggerating when I say, never in the last 15 years have we found the previous years so heavy, and never have we, despite all the worries and some skepticism, looked forward to the new one with so much hope.
The United Kingdom left the European Union's orbit on Thursday, turning its back on a tempestuous 48-year liaison with the European project for an uncertain post-Brexit future in its most significant geopolitical shift since the loss of their empire.
Brexit took place at the strike of midnight in Brussels when the United Kingdom ended the de facto membership known as the transition period, which lasted 11 months after it formally left on January 31st. Supporters cast Brexit as the dawn of a nearly independent global Britain. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said this in his New Year's Eve message.
We have our freedom in our hands, and it is up to us to make the most of it. And I think it will be the overwhelming instinct of the people of this country to come together as one united kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, working together to express our values around the world.
Johnson has been short on detail about what he wants to build with Britain's independence or how to do it, while borrowing record amounts to pay for the COVID-19 crisis. Scholars believe Brexit has weakened the bonds that bind England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland into a $3 trillion economy.
That's all the time we have this evening. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. We also post the latest headlines to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, so follow us there to get the latest news updates. It may be a new year, but it's also a new normal. Remember that if you go out, please wear your mask and observe that social distancing. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, Malaysia.